Love him or hate him, Jack Harlow is resurfacing with some new music and he's coming with some heat. From the production to the lyrics, you can tell him and his team are taking their time to create something that sounds very fun and unique. Stick around to the end of this video as I'm going to be breaking down 2 beats that I made inspired by his most recent songs, Hello Miss Johnson and Tranquility. The first beat that I'm going to be breaking down was inspired by his song Hello Miss Johnson. What's cool about this song in particular is it has a bossa nova sample, but it uses hip hop drums and percussion on top of it to give it a very unique bounce. And if you're unfamiliar with the genre bossa nova, just think elevator music. I looked all over to see if there was a specific bossa nova record that the producer may have used in this beat. I didn't find anything, so it's either not public information yet or he made it from scratch. Regardless, for my beat, I decided to go into Splice. I searched up bossa nova and I ended up finding this sample. That was a good enough place to start, but it definitely needs some work in order to get the sound that I was going for. The first thing I did was I sped it up to 182 BPM, then I threw the sample into Fruity Slicer and I came up with this chop. For the effects on that, I have an EQ chopping out a lot of lows and some of the highs. Tape Mellify to give it that analog sound. I got the drive pumping a little bit, the tone knob pretty high up to give it some more high end. Flutter and wow, and then this filter knob, I've got a high patch just cutting out some more low end. A compressor, again, just to glue it all together and really give it that authentic, just sample, squashed, vintage, all the words to describe the old sound that I was trying to achieve. Fresh air on top of all of that just to give it some more bite. And then Magic Switch, I've used this in a few of my videos before. It's just a chorus plugin. I turned it down halfway because it was like very intense, but yeah, this is a free plugin and it does the job perfectly, so definitely check it out. Fruity Love Filter, it's just a low pass filter that I automate throughout the different sections of the arrangement. In the song Hello Miss Johnson, the sample pretty much just loops throughout the entire beat. So other than this one other sound that I'm about to show you, that's pretty much it for the melodic aspect of this beat. The sound that I grabbed was this E piano I grabbed from Expand. I wanted to create some sort of variation between the different sections other than just like a low pass filter from the chorus section to the verse, so I came up with this pattern right here after messing around on my MIDI keyboard for a while, and it sounds like this. So like I said, very simple stuff as far as the melody goes and not much to it at all. But it doesn't sound like anything is missing other than an artist's vocal on top of the beat, which is good because sometimes artists like Jack Harlow have some pretty good bars that you don't really want to be covering up because you did too much with the beat, if that makes sense. By chopping up the sample the way that I did, I still kept the bossa nova feel a little bit, but I wanted to make sure it was still very obvious. So I went into Splice and I found this percussion loop that I put underneath the sample chop. Now here's where the hip hop influence comes into play. I started by adding 3 of the main sounds: a 2-step hi-hat, a clap with a couple extra hits in there, and a kick. To add some extra percussions on top of that, I added this rim sound and chopped up this triangle loop that I had. And for the last element of the hip hop drums, I added the Spins 808 underneath the kick that only comes in during the chorus. Putting the drums back underneath the sample gets us the final beat. The next beat I made was inspired by his brand new song Tranquility. This song is really lyrically packed, so if you thought the last beat had a lot of space, this one is super watered down. And if you're new to my channel, I promise my beats are not always this boring and bland. It's just this style of music that calls for like the watered down and very wide open sound, just because like I said, the lyrics and stuff. So yeah, just go watch the other videos and I promise you will enjoy those as well. But for the melody on the song Tranquility, there's only 2 sounds: an old vintage sounding piano and a very creepy vocal melody. I don't think the vocal is saying or singing anything, but it's just adding more melody to the melody. Starting with this wing upright piano from Keyscape, I came up with this progression right here in the key of F minor. Starting on the 1, going up to the 4, down to the 3, back down to the 1, up to the 4 again, and then all the way down to the 5 before we go back to the 1 again, and then it just repeats. If you didn't know, the 5 chord always goes back to the 1, giving it a very nice resolved sound. Then for the rest of the progression, just these couple filler notes right here to give it some more rhythm and make the piano a little less boring. I'm gonna first play you guys what this progression sounds like with no effects. So that sounds cool and it sounds very nice, but I really wanted like a dark, evil sound to it, kind of like the Tranquility beat. There was just something very eerie and just like mellow, I guess, about the piano sound. So what I did was I added Cymatic's Deja Vu to it. What it does is pitches it down a whole octave and half times everything. I've used it in a few of my videos, but this is how the progression sounds now. The next and final element that I added to the melodic aspect of this beat was a vocal. Just like in the song Tranquility, I found a vocal in Splice that was very eerie. It wasn't saying anything, but it gives melody to the melody. I keep saying that, but yeah, this is what it sounds like. For the effects on that, I have an EQ filtering out lows and highs. I've got this effect rack with this vocal 2 preset that I made, Devil Lock and Decapitator giving it some distortion and saturation, Micro Shift making it a little bit wider, and then this Echo Boy Jr. with an 1/8 delay on it, giving it a lot of bounce. For the drums on this, I have a rim sound hitting on the 2 and 4 of each bar. That's just how it was in the song, so I matched that in my beat as well. Hi-hats were very open, still had a lot of rhythm to it, but it wasn't just a simple 2-step, so that's what I did for mine. These 2 different open hats right here, one was short, I believe, and the other one was really long on one of the snare hits. I really like the vibe of that. I've been experimenting a lot with like just different sounding cymbals. Sally sells seashells by the different sounding cymbals in my beats just adds a lot more bounce to my drum patterns, and it keeps things exciting and interesting. And then of course we have a kick, and underneath that there's this 808 right here, which is very short. It doesn't have a long tail, which is good for these type of beats. We're trying to keep the space open like I keep mentioning, but yeah, this is what the full drum pattern sounds like. This one might have been a little bit of a shorter video, but I really hope you guys still learned something, and if you did, please go down in the comments and let me know. Like I said earlier in my video, go back and watch some of my other videos. I've got way more in-depth beats, but yeah, this was fun. This was fun to make these type of beats. Let me know if you guys are messing with the new Jack Harlow sound. Drop a like on this video, subscribe for more. Here's the final beat. I appreciate y'all for watching.